You know, the reason I'm in China now is I have put myself self-imposed exile. Why? Because I know that my social media power is now so great that it is putting me and my wife and my work, most importantly, in danger.
George Galloway is a fiery, untiring British politician and broadcaster, once seen as a rising star in the Labour Party before being expelled for opposing the Iraq War, who's been elected to Parliament 7 times across 5 decades and multiple parties, as a staunch anti-imperialist critic of Western liberalism, forever generating fierce controversy with his eloquent, straight-talking style and unyielding principles. At the end of last year, George and his wife were detained at gunpoint in the UK and questioned for hours about their supposed ties to Russia and China. Since then, they've been in self-imposed exile. Just this week, that meant they were here in Shanghai. I grabbed the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Galloway in the Reports on China studio to ask him a series of questions put forward by you guys, our followers. So without further ado, let's get reporting.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博人。Hey, you guys, welcome back to Reports on China. I'm Andy Borhan. We have a special guest in the house who needs no introduction. George Galloway, welcome to Reports on China. Welcome to Shanghai. Welcome to China.
I'm honored to be here. I've admired your work for so long, and now you're on TV proper. It's wonderful.
Isn't it a great set? Doesn't Shanghai look amazing?
It is.
It's
well,
awesome.
Shanghai is amazing.
Yeah.
This is the future. And if you don't want to know what the future looks like, maybe you're already dead.
Okay, the first question comes from Kai Wang. He's actually from Hong Kong. He asks, what do you think of Hong Kong? How did you feel about visiting the city as a British politician? Is it a free and prosperous city, or is it under the tight grip of Beijing?
Well, of course, Hong Kong is China, so Beijing is the capital of China. And despite the fact that the Hong Kong territory and other territories were seized by force, by terrorism actually, by the British Empire, China has quite punctiliously observed the terms of the agreement with the British, and the one country, two systems definitely works and is the future of Hong Kong even after the complete handover. So I don't see anyone has anything to complain about. It's normal that you have to have loyalty to your country if you're in politics in your country. If you're working for foreign countries and seeking to overthrow your own country's dispensation, well, obviously that's not going to be allowed. But Hong Kong is booming. It is a wonderful place. You could see why the British terrorists took it. It's in the most exquisite geographical setting. And they haven't even changed the street names of some of the worst terrorists of them all. I made a short video of Elgin Street. Who's Elgin? He's the man who torched the Emperor's Palace. He's the man who bombarded China until they agreed to let British opium into the country. But they haven't forced the Hong Kong authorities to take down his name. And ironically, the father of Elgin was the man who stole the Elgin marbles from the Parthenon in Athens. So the father was a thief, the son was a terrorist, but their name is still on a street sign in Hong Kong.
And isn't it amazing? I think that's quite a good example of one country, two systems, that a name like that can remain on a street in such a prominent location.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know what will happen in the future, but my guess is it will continue to be Elgin Street. So, look, I love it. I mean, it's a guilty secret to say I love it, because one of the reasons why I love it is because my language is understood by a lot of people. And some of the cultural things, like football, for example. Like Xi Jinping, I'm a massive Manchester United fan. I can find a Manchester United game and I've got thousands of others watching it with me. A whole street in Hong Kong is watching the same football as me, supporting the same team as me. So I love Hong Kong, and we do spend time there and will spend more time there. But Hong Kong is China. That's the be-all and end-all of it.
A lot of people were complaining about the national security law that was passed and kind of making out it's unique to Hong Kong, unique to China.
I was 7 times elected to the British Parliament across 5 decades, from the 1980s until last year. Every time I was elected, I had to swear allegiance, not to the country, by the way, but to a royal family for whom I have no respect, at least not now. I respected the old queen, but the king, I don't respect at all. But when I was elected in 2024 for the 7th time, I had to swear allegiance to him and all his heirs and successors. Well, if it's good enough in the British Parliament, it's good enough for the Hong Kong Assembly, surely.
Next up, though, we have a question from Alf on X who asked, how do the West solve the problem of PDFs in government and or positions of power, leading to being blackmailed and having to serve the deep state?
Well, you know, I sometimes wonder if these people are promoted into office precisely because they can be blackmailed very easily. And as this Epstein tsunami rolls out, I'm more and more persuaded that that might very well be true. Either that, or I'm the only politician in the Western world that would never cheat on his wife and would never do any of the things that these people were doing. But I think it's the case that people who are blackmailable somehow get a pass from the deep state to get into positions of power, get into positions of influence. So, of course, the Epstein affair is still rolling. It will be some time before the full lessons of it can be learned. And, of course, there is some element of guilt by association, and some of the most famous socialists, like Noam Chomsky, for example, might be falling victim to that, although their alliance or allegiance or friendship with Epstein is itself highly questionable, but doesn't mean that Chomsky or any of these other eggheads and academics that are on the plane or on the island were necessarily doing filthy things. But I think when all the dice have rolled, we're going to discover that Epstein was a very important and significant guy. He was right at the center of a worldwide espionage operation, whether only Israeli intelligence or both American and Israeli intelligence. And in any case, it's hard to tell the difference between the two. Time will tell. But it's clear enough to me now, Epstein was in Buckingham Palace. He was in number 10 Downing Street. He was in the Oval Office. He was in the royal palaces of Norway and Sweden. He was, of course, in the inner councils of Israel. He was even in Somaliland. He was even in the Ukraine. He was even plotting to overthrow Putin in Russia. This man was a very significant player of a kind that perhaps we've never seen before. He's almost fictional. It's almost like a James Bond character, a Dr. Evil stroking his cat on his lap. And if you were to make a film about it, you'd have to make several sequels, and you'd be pushed to get a director to agree that it was believable what you were saying.
So do you think it is true that the reason the powers that be don't want to release the Epstein files is because they'll lose all their power over those in power?
Without a doubt, because the public is repulsed, revolted by the stories that are tumbling out. So they know that, and it will not just lose them their luster, it will, if it goes much further, it will lead to pikestaffs in the street. It will lead to, and it has already in Britain, the very powerful guy, Peter Mandelson, former British ambassador to Washington, though only for a few months, but a central figure in all the governments from 1997 until now. He is resigning from his party. He's about to be kicked out of the House of Lords, the unelected part of the British Parliament, and he will, I think, certainly go to prison. So there's an atmosphere now in all the countries that are involved, which is heading towards revolutionary territory. So they will have to burn some of their prime assets. They will have to put to political death some of the central figures involved in order to preserve their own power.